Greetings. My name is Benjamin Robertson, and this is my capstone presentation. This has been a very big year for me in terms of professional development and can be best summed up by the phrase eye-opening. For my capstone project, I created a clamshell-style display case in the form of an eye that opens to reveal pamphlets that contain an inventory of the services one can access regarding some of the pertinent areas of assistance that I have found most prominent throughout my professional journey. These pamphlets include resources for social determinants of health, such as housing and food insecurity, as well as resources for individuals experiencing addiction who are concerned with their mental health or are the victims of violence. As social workers, we work with those who are sometimes invisible and have been disenfranchised by society. The eye is symbolic of the role social work plays in helping those individuals who have come to feel as though their lives do not matter and that they are ignored by society at large to be seen, and feel as though someone values and hears them. Throughout my social work education, I was always waiting for the magic questions that I could ask, or skills I could use that would serve as a cure-all to help the people we serve. I was always waiting to be exposed to those magic, life-changing tools to be bestowed upon me, and as each year passed and I was not exposed to them, I felt continuously more and more disappointed in the quality of my education. A part of me also felt as though I would not be able to live up to the expectations of the social work profession when I entered the field. I progressively continued my education, hoping that my eureka moment would be revealed to me in one big information dump. This past year, I have come to understand that this is not what social work is about. During my master's placement in the Algoma District Cancer Program at the Sioux Area Hospital, I had the privilege of seeing master-level social workers perform their craft. And as the theme of my capstone would suggest, this was an eye-opening experience to the realities of practice. This experience helped me to facilitate my realization and understanding that the foundational building blocks of my education had been laid throughout my whole education and employment cooperatives. Through my education, I was provided with a variety of tools and opportunities to develop my competency in using critical thinking in practice that helped to cultivate an appreciation for the need to develop a diverse and adaptable professional understanding that each client has their own set of unique needs and goals and should therefore be approached through an individually tailored plan. There are no blanket skills that can be applied to every situation. Rather, there are a wide range of skills and approaches that professionals need to assess and identify to determine which is most appropriate and will be most beneficial for the specific instance. As social workers, we have the privilege of being able to take a look behind the curtain of people's lives and see the unique situations within which they exist. Each person has his or her own unique trials and tribulations that impact them in a unique and personal way. Each client we serve also has their own set of strengths, skills, and ways of viewing the world that impacts the way they view and handle the aforementioned trials and tribulations. People are complex, and the realities are determined by the summation of a series of factors that are both within and outside of their control. This semester has been eye-opening for me to see the actual ways in which social workers are able to have positive impacts on the lives of their clients, their families, and the community at large. In my art piece, I identified 4 different aspects of seeing an individual to use as a framework for discussing my own professional development, as well as to outline the special ways in which social workers need to be able to understand those we work with. See me as I was. My journey towards this point in my life has not been easy. From my early teens, I have battled with addiction, depression, and poor self-image. Completing this education has required a great deal of personal sacrifice and dedication to progress myself from the person I was into the person I am. I often struggled within my practice in relation to the competency of viewing myself as a professional and implementing social work values and skills into my own life. I used to look towards the future, waiting for the day I would suddenly become a professional, rather than internalizing the information I was being presented with and putting in the necessary work to turn myself into a professional. Much of the information I was receiving felt as though it was common sense and that it was not something I would need to make a conscious effort to implement into my daily life. However, this all changed when I was blessed with the responsibility of developing and facilitating a support group for men who had cancer. In starting this process, I felt completely incompetent, and as though I would be a hypocrite trying to help these vulnerable men when I felt I had no idea how to help myself. It was around this time that I began listening to the work of Dr. Jordan Peterson, who provided me with the salient takeaway that the meaning of life is found through the pursuit of meaningful responsibility, and that by becoming an active player in my own development, through disciplining myself and investing in myself, I would be able to put myself in a position where I would be able to enact the most positive change and be the best me I could be. I wanted to do right by these men, and rather than ask them to do something I wouldn't do myself, I began to consciously implement the skills I was learning into my own life, and thinking about how I might respond to a client who is in a similar situation. I made a conscious effort to employ mindfulness skills that I had been told about throughout my education but hadn't quite yet internalized. Through this process, I was able to become more aware of why I would react and feel the ways I did. I was also able to implement mindful breathing to de-stress and help clear my mind. This small success highlighted for me the importance of the concept of creating SMART goals, which is an acronym for goals that are specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and trackable, and working towards them to help build confidence and reinforce to an individual that change is in fact possible and empowers them to continue making incremental improvements that will yield compounding positive results. Building off this success, I began using other cognitive behavioral theory skills, such as the catch it, check it, change it skill, in tandem with mindfulness, to identify and address my negative self-deprivating thoughts. This practice of utilizing these skills helped me to understand their value, and in turn, I was able to better utilize them with clients. I was able to share my initial skepticisms when faced with resistance, but became familiar with them enough to understand that when you first start using these skills, they may seem ridiculous or make you feel silly. However, the more that you use them, the way you think begins to change, and the activity becomes more of a natural and automatic process. Noteworthy here is that incremental positive changes in the short term are capable of producing compounding positive results in the long term. The most useful theory that I have been introduced to that I find so beneficial I have incorporated into my own worldview is strengths-based theory. Often, when clients are in a bad situation, they may struggle to identify all of the positive things in their life as they are preoccupied and overwhelmed with all the negative things. By utilizing a strength-based approach, we can help remind our clients of how amazing they truly are and the potential that they have. Through reframing and identifying strengths, we can help change the way clients view themselves and empower them to make positive changes within their lives. Another area of professional development that was influenced by course material in improving my understanding of how inequality of outcomes exist within society was the social determinants of health. Looking for these factors in an individual's life can help to identify barriers and areas where an individual may need to be connected with supports to further facilitate their growth. Social determinants of health are important to remember in that they have a drastic effect on an individual's paradigm, and actively listening and asking the right open-ended questions are integral skills in allowing us to understand our clients in their environment, as not all individuals experience the social determinants of health in the same way. See me as I see myself. An important area of learning and professional development for me has been separating my perception of myself from the reality of myself. Utilizing a strength-based approach with the way I think and talk about myself has empowered me to be able to engage with individuals, their families, and groups within my professional practice. I am often too trusting of what clients tell me, and for a while this served as a barrier to being able to best serve them. This shifted for me when I learned about narrative therapy, where I developed an understanding of how the concept that how an individual perceives their situation is just as important, if not more so, than the actual situation. Being aware that the client narrative is one of many narratives, and asking clients open-ended questions to help them identify alternative narratives has proved to be a useful tool in helping clients to reframe their perspective on their situation. The process of helping clients to separate their narrative from their emotional response to their problem can liberate the client in being able to see their situation more objectively. See me as I can be. As social workers, it is integral that we believe in an individual's capacity for change. For people to work towards change, they need to be able to envision themselves in a situation that is different from the one in which they are currently in. This is true for not only our clients, but us as professionals, in that we need to keep finding new ways to improve so we do not get stuck and end up being complicit in perpetuating existing structures of oppression. Professional development is not simply a one-time event, but rather a lifelong mindset of continued growth and engaging with evidence-based research. The importance of this competency was highlighted for me through one of the course readings that stated a significant portion of social work services individuals receive are not in fact evidence-based, and some clients were actually worse off because they sought the professional help. It is our responsibility as social workers to engage in lifelong learning. I still have a long way to go in my professional development, and there is much to learn, but over the past 6 years I have come a long way and have much to be grateful for. I am grateful for all the opportunities I have been privileged to take part in throughout my social work journey, as well as all the professionals who have selflessly donated their time to help me grow and develop professionally. As I embark on my professional journey, I look forward to being able to give back to the world and community that has done so much for me, and strive to make my contribution in making this world a better place because I was a part of it and chose to live intentionally. Thank you.